Hello everyone, welcome back to the Bengals franchise. In Madden 2001 here, we're in year 6, moving right along into our first game against the Steelers this season, and we start off our series against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. So I mentioned last video how a lot of rosters are still kind of looking the same, like the Ravens roster, and the Steelers are just the same Steelers that they've always been. We got Cordell Stewart at quarterback, Jerome Bettis, the bus, in the backfield, Plexico Burris. It's all the same faces that you're used to, that you love. So I don't know why there's not any turnover in Madden 2001, but you'd think it'd make it easy to build a decent and competitive team, but Corey Dillon is making things happen early on in this game as he has gone off to the races, and no one in the Steelers secondary can seem to catch up, man. Absolutely left in the dust, and it is a humongous 80-yard run from scrimmage for Corey Dillon to get into the end zone, and Corey Dillon had a decent first game. He didn't really do much of anything in the Browns game, but here he is making things happen in Pittsburgh, and he just absolutely sidesteps LaThon Flowers, and he's just got zero speed to catch up to Corey Dillon. That was a horribly played by LaThon Flowers, and otherwise pretty dang good safety, just completely left in the dust by Corey Dillon and his speed, and that is why he is getting paid the big bucks, ladies and germs. So we take an early 7-0 lead here, but Pittsburgh is finally getting something rolling on offense as they get close to midfield. Cordell Stewart with pressure in his face uncorks this one to Edwards, and he's brought down by Newsome at about the 35-yard line, the Cincinnati 35-yard line. So it is a nice pickup for the Steelers offense. And we had Schroeder in there, man. Have you guys been paying attention to Schroeder? He's been getting a lot of penetration, putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I don't think he's really been getting a lot of hits or a lot of sacks or anything, but he's been in the backfield. He's been a decent acquisition for us. He's been really aggressive on the D-line. So Cordell Stewart in the very next play wants to hit Edwards again, and he does, even though he's surrounded by Bengals in the secondary. Doesn't seem to matter. Edwards and Cordell Stewart had that kind of connection, man, and Cordell Stewart just finds that lane, and Edwards just rips that one out of the air with one arm, as this game loves to do so much. And now the Steelers not only have a fresh set of downs, but they are that much closer to the goal line. So we have stopped him on 3rd and goal, and they're going to hand it to their fullback, and going for his head is Takeo Spikes. He goes for the diving tackle, and he stops, saves the touchdown, rather. And so Pittsburgh, and that's going to do it for the first quarter, but Pittsburgh is going to have to come out of the intermission and attempt a field goal now at the top of the second quarter, and they're going to do just that as this one is knocked up and through. The 18-yard chip shot is good by Brown. So 7-3 is your score, and we are now moving again on offense, getting ever so closer to midfield. Achilles Smith stands firm in the pocket all day to throw. Steelers getting zero penetration up front, and that one is hauled in by Chris Waller, I believe. And look at that, bro. 133 yards on 4 plays. That is disgusting. Like, that is gross. But regardless, we are now getting closer and closer to the goal line. The Steelers send a little bit of pressure, and Corey Dillon catches this one, and just absolutely lost out there was that Steelers linebacker. I don't know what he was doing, as Corey Dillon just cuts upfield, gets the first down and a little bit more to get brought down inside the 5-yard line. So we are knocking on heaven's door once again. So on 2nd and goal, right after the 2-minute warning, only 2 minutes left to go in this first half, things have moved by pretty quickly, and Corey Dillon's going to dive for the end zone and get his 2nd touchdown of the day. I don't know how many multi-touchdown games we've seen from Corey Dillon in this entire series, but we get one here in Pittsburgh, a team that is just come up from behind and taken so many wins from us over the years. We are really kind of rolling early on after some pretty slow starts offensively so far this season, but Pittsburgh is not going to take this one lying down as Cordell Stewart sends up a Hail Mary pass to Edwards, and he comes down with it in the end zone, and Pittsburgh is finally going to get a touchdown on the board. And look at this, man, all day to throw. All day to throw. I was just praising the penetration we were getting, and at the last second it comes in, but Cordell Stewart made a decision here, and yeah, we had a few defenders in the vicinity here. Looks like we had like everyone back in some kind of zone, but unfortunately could not defend that one. So 10-14 is your score, and with under a minute left to go, we're going to try and do something again on offense, and Chris Waller shakes off a couple tackles, and he's finally brought down by LaThon Flowers inside the 20 or 30-yard line. So we're going to blow a timeout because we got time to get into the end zone, ladies and germs, and we can add some more points potentially. So 18 seconds, we're running the hurry up. Achilles Smith's not going to spike it here and try and go for a field goal. He wants it all, and Chris Waller standing completely on his own. His DB looks like he had a firm zone in the end zone and just wasn't paying attention to Chris Waller standing completely by himself at about the 5-yard line, and so he cuts upfield and gets into the end zone, and we get our 3rd touchdown of the half. I don't know how many games in our time here in Cincinnati we can really say that, but 21-10 is your score, so things are definitely not put away, especially against a team like the Steelers. Cordell Stewart hit as he throws, and Plexico Burr shakes off a whole slew of Bengals, and there's no one that's going to catch him. There's about 3 guys who got caught up in one tackle animation, and then our 4th guy just dove and got caught up on some more Bengal defenders, and so Plexico Burr was just free to run. So that's all that's going to happen in the 3rd quarter is that big defensive breakdown. So 17-21 is your score here in Pittsburgh. It's all coming down to this. Another close one in Pittsburgh like they always are. And Cordell Stewart can't seem to connect with his receivers. Didn't even look like the routes had fully developed yet. He just kind of threw that one into the grass. So we face a 3rd and 13 now. We're trying to burn up as much time as possible. And Corey Dillon hurdling over defenders before getting brought down after picking up about 5 or 6 yards back. So it looks like we might potentially be in John Green's range here for a potential field goal, and he sends this one up and doinks off the crossbar. So if you were curious what John Green's, what his distance was, how much power he had, it looks like there's your answer. That one looks like it might have been maybe a 53 or 54 yarder perhaps. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I mean, he almost had it. Maybe about another yard or 2 short if Corey Dillon could have got it. Maybe that one goes in. But 21-17 is still your score. And Jerome Bettis coughs up the football. And there's nothing but Bengals in the area to pick this one up. And it is a Bengals defender who picks it up and is heading the other way. So Jerome Bettis, who has not had a good game at all, coughs up the football and potentially costs Pittsburgh the game. But on 3rd and 4, Pittsburgh needs to stop us. And they do. So we tried to run out some clock here, but it looks like Pittsburgh is going to have another opportunity with the football. We had an absolutely perfect punt, so Pittsburgh is going to have to go the entire distance of the field if they want to walk this one off. So on 1st and 10, 1:06 left to go. Cordell Stewart from his own end zone finds Jerome Bettis out of the backfield, who hauls that one in. So it's a 1st down, and the Steelers are going to continue to move. Time is under a minute now, and they're just going to run the hurry up. They're not going to spike it. Oh, well, they are going to spike it. I thought they might have fake spiked it. They had plenty of time. I mean, they got a long way to go. I wouldn't waste any downs like that. So 2nd and 10 now with 52 seconds left to go for Cordell Stewart and these Pittsburgh Steelers. Stewart's going to drop back, staying firm, and unloads this one, and he finds Pickens, I think it is, who hauls that one in for another Pittsburgh 1st down, and they're getting ever so closer to midfield. Let's see if they spike it again. Ref is taking all day, to center that ball, and they do spike it. So they're going to clock it at 36 seconds left to go here, and now after a failed play, it's 3rd and 10 with 30 seconds left to go. So this potentially down to the last play or two. They're going to flip it out to Jerome Bettis, who's shaking off defenders, redirecting, trying to turn field, but eventually he does get brought down by somebody. And so on 4th and 8, only 19 seconds left to go. Stewart dropping back. Pressure is on off the edge, and he cannot connect with his receivers. So that is going to do it for this ball game as we hold on to our 21-17 lead and send the Steelers to a 1-3 start. And man, it feels good to win one of these close ones in Pittsburgh, man. I was just talking about in the last video how these are the type of grimy type games that we need to come out on top in, and we managed to do it. Again, didn't complete a single 3rd down attempt. We didn't complete one in the Cleveland game either. Pittsburgh was actually pretty efficient on 3rd down, but they weren't able to convert any of their 4th downs, which might have changed the course of the game for them. So Achilles Smith has himself a fairly decent game. You're only throwing for 153 yards, but 10 of 12, 83% completion percentage. You'd love to see that. Corey Dillon rushes for almost 100 yards with 2 touchdowns, but thanks to McAviga, we do get over 100 yards rushing. Chris Waller leading the receiving core here with a touchdown and almost 100 yards on the day. You love to see things like that. So here is the defensive breakdown of things. But now, thanks to our 2-2 start, we're going to have some interesting conversations here in the next couple weeks as the trade deadline is here in week 6, and we are ever so fastly approaching that trade deadline. So we're going to have to come up with a decision here pretty darn quick. So we lose to the Browns. The Browns get the revenge in week 5. We beat them by 3 points, and they beat us by 3 points in Cincinnati in week 5. So now we are here in week 6 at the deadline. It is our bye week as well, and we are 2-3. So we have some decisions that we need to make. My philosophy now, heading into this deadline, because the rest of this video is just going to be the deadline. We're not going to get another game in. We're just going to focus on the deadline. So my philosophy heading into the deadline is soft sell, which might not make a ton of sense considering what we're trying to do, but we have a ton of depth, and I'm telling you, a ton of depth. in a lot of positions that we really just don't really need. And I know that sounds crazy considering, we're 2-3, we're a losing team. But look at this, man. We have several receivers in the mid-70s. I know there's a lot of teams throughout the league that probably don't have receiving cores as deep as we do. And because of the type of young rookie cheap contracts we have, I'm going to try and move a lot of these guys. So the Vikings are going to give us a 4th-round pick for this depth receiver, so we're going to take it. It's a free 4th-rounder, and if we get past the 6th year, then we're definitely going to use it. So we have a surplus at left tackle as well as 78 overall left tackle. I know there's a team in the NFL that's probably going to need that somewhere. So, and the Broncos are that team. They're starting a rookie left tackle, but he's considerably worse than Smith is. So we're going to try and take a pick from the Broncos for Smith, and they are going to give us their 3rd-round pick for it. So, all that beef against the Broncos, and we finally complete a trade. So, and there we find out that Raheem Abdullah is injured for a long portion of the season. So our linebacking core takes a pretty massive hit here, but we do have depth at that position as well. So we are going to be okay. So we still have Simmons, who we can start on that side, and everything's going to be fine. So Foreman, who's going to be one of our backup outside linebackers, we're going to try and move him for something. And the Cardinals are a team that looks like they could probably use some help at that position. So we're trying to budget some picks around here. They're offering us a 4th-round pick. I was kind of thinking that over. It's an 80 overall outside linebacker, and I think he's making like basically nothing. And so I'm like, come on, we can do better than a 4th. Come on. But it didn't look like the Cardinals were looking to play ball with us. So we're going to move on to the Chiefs now. And the Chiefs are another team that needs some help at the linebacking position. So we are going to look and see what they'll give us for Foreman. And spoiler alert, it's the same as what the Cardinals are offering. So the Chiefs aren't looking to give up any high draft capital. I think they're still a bad team in this, so they probably don't want to give up any picks higher than the 3rd round. So we will just take a 4th-round pick from them. And now we are cooking up something here with Seattle. Seattle has a surplus at the left guard position. It's one of the few holes that we do have on the team. And Floyd Wedderburn, who is an NFL vet here, is only making 2.2 for the rest of this season. And I was trying to trade for make a big blockbuster trade, just get a big, like, game-changing piece for this team anywhere on the field. And I thought boosting up our O-line is something that could really help us. So here you can see Seattle's going to take a 2nd and a 3rd for Wedderburn, which I didn't think was a lot, because if we don't manage to make it past the season, it's not going to matter if we have these picks or not. And regardless, I haven't really utilized the draft that much since like the 2nd or 3rd year. So I think that's a pretty efficient trade here. We get a massive upgrade on the offensive line for a little bit of draft capital that we just traded for. So that's going to take us into our next weeks here. So hope to see you guys in the next video when we take on the New York Jets.